My name is Kennedy Ng, and I am very happy to present to you tonight the Dream City, Union City, New Jersey, which will be an option for the community to know the good things that happen in this beautiful city.
The city of Union City, a cosmopolitan city where almost all of us have seen each other. We are like a large family that through the management of our representatives, they help our citizens. And our people do volunteer work because they know that the city is run by a mayor who has shown that he is not the common politician, but that he works for his community. This program is an extension of information where we are going to have participation of personalities from the public and private sectors so that they can keep us informed of the community. May that be educational activities and everything that benefits us.
Good evening, Union City, the Dream City. My name is Kennedy, and tonight we have a very special guest, Emma Pena. Emma Pena is a nurse, a registered nurse, and we're going to be talking about, in general, educational questions and her background as a nurse. Good evening. How you doing, Emma?
Good evening, Kennedy. I'm
Very
doing
good.
great.
Very good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Very good. I know we're going to be talking about the nursing world and we're going to be explaining to the community the Dream City. And you know that this is the Dream City, Union
That's
City,
right.
New Jersey. And
Yes,
you are
it
from
is.
Union City too.
I am.
Very good. Can you tell the community, the Dream City, about your background, a summary of, educational background and a little bit about yourself?
Yes, definitely. I graduated from Cliffside Park High School. I got my bachelor's in nursing from Rutgers University in Newark. And then I have some certifications that I've acquired, such as EFM, which is for electronic fetal monitoring, as well as neonatal resuscitation, and of course, basic life support. That's, your basic CPR classes.
Very good. And you are from Union City, that's what I said.
Yes, I recently bought a house here, and
See?
I've grown up.
That's
in
what I call the
Hudson
Dream
County.
City. Everybody wants
Oh,
to come
yes.
to the Dream City, Union City,
Yes.
because many assistances and the community is involved.
Yes, it's a great city. It's I'm very happy to be here.
Talk a little bit about your parents. That they are from Cuba, Dominican Republic, from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so my parents, they were both born in the Dominican Republic. My mom came here when she was about 8 years old. I believe they moved to New York, so she grew up there for a few years. My dad grew up in San Jose de Ocoa from, in the Dominican Republic. And then he moved here when he was in his 20s, right before I was born.
And I understand your father was kind of popular as a singer.
Yes, he was. He was in a band for, his early 20s. And
What was the name of the band that he was one of the singers?
I believe it's called Los Cantantes.
Ramon Orlando.
With Ramon Orlando, of course.
Very famous
yes.
in there.
Yes.
A good musician.
Oh, yes.
Emma, tell me about, did you really enjoy being a nurse?
Yes, I say this time and time again to.
And tell me the truth.
Oh, I will. I love to talk about it. I love my profession. It can be very physically exhausting as well as mentally and emotionally. But I truly do enjoy it. I truly do enjoy, just helping others and making a difference.
And what made you really taking the choice to be a nurse? It's something in the family, or you are the first one in the family being, following that career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the first one to choose that career, a career in medicine. My dad did always show interest in the medical field, although he was never able to pursue it. But I definitely did, just have a passion for it, and just helping people, and the science behind it as well is very interesting and intriguing to me. So it's the best of both worlds.
Tell me your feelings. What do you feel being a nurse? And I understand this career is about humanity, helping people. Besides, having a salary, you have to feel it.
Definitely. And you can tell the difference between, the providers who are just there to, for a career choice versus somebody that's there with a vocation and a dedication. What made me choose it is just being able to, like I said, help others, when they're most vulnerable. I work specifically with pregnant mothers and postpartum mothers, specifically with those who are high risk. So just being able to, like I said, make a difference and, essentially prevent an adverse outcome as well. If they're in the hospital, then the idea is that we're able to care for them to, in such a way prevent a worst case scenario.
Good. And I work in the hospitals, and I understand the different category being a nurse. Can you explain the community, the Dream City? I know that you are a registered nurse, the different categories, so people can understand that.
Yeah, so very good question. There's a lot of entry-level positions when it comes to nursing. I started off as a nursing assistant. You don't need a bachelor's for that. You just need like your basic BLS, which is just a basic life support, the CPR class. As long as you have that, you can be a nurse's assistant, and that's basically you helping out the nurses, with the taking vitals, taking like the basic assessments that the patients may need. So there's nursing assistants, then there's nurse practitioners, which is an advanced career. For that, you would need a master's and some experience as a nurse. And then there's, things even higher, such as a CRNA, which is a certified registered nurse assistant. And that's like kind of the tip top for nursing. It's basically an anesthesiologist, but via the nursing route. So you don't need to necessarily go to medical school. It's a very great option. And just the fact that there are so many options.
Can people identify what type of nurse by the uniforms, or do you have some signal that tell this is a registered nurse, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so, nurses, of course, are going to have their uniform. Usually, the nurses will have one set of uniforms, across the profession, and then the nursing assistants usually have something that's goes according, but not like the exact same uniform. And of course, their ID is going to label specifically if they're a registered nurse, a nursing assistant, so on and so forth.
Tell me or tell the community a typical day of a nurse, in your case.
Yeah, so this is kind of across the board for nursing in general. Basically, you want to come in, right? We're going to get report from the previous nurse. That's a very important piece. Of course, that's where we get to know our patients, how they did overnight. If you're working day shift, I work night, so the day shift nurse will tell me how they did during the day.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is very important. Like, if you work from 7 to 3, so at 3 another nurse is coming, and there's the issues that most of the patients they believe because they switch in nurses, the one now that's taking care, they believe that they don't know anything about the patients. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so of course, like I said, when we come onto our shift, the first thing that we're doing is we're giving report. So that nurse is going to tell the oncoming nurse, how the patient's day went, anything from lab works, lab results, physical assessments that they may have found, any adverse events that may have happened with the patients, any other kind of complaints or issues that the patients may have had. We're going to encompass everything, and ideally we would be giving as much information to the oncoming nurse as we know and as, happens that we're aware of.
This is good information for the public, Good. Tell me something, and I really don't know that. If the doctors are not around, an emergency occurs, can a nurse take the responsibility and make a medical decision?
That's a great question. I will start off by saying usually the first scenario that people think of in an emergency is, I think what you're referring to is when somebody codes, meaning they have lost their rhythmic, their heart has lost a good rhythm and they're coding. Usually we will already know whether that specific patient is a DNR or DNI, meaning do not resuscitate, do not intubate. So right off the bat, we know whether or not we're going to go into that room and perform life-saving measurements on that patient. If that patient does want all the measures taken, or in any emergency really, we have certain orders. So the way that the hospital works is, one, there's going to be code bells that we're going to be pulling or ringing, or we're going to alert basically all of the staff, like, hey, there's an emergency in, let's say, room 12, all hands on deck, everyone's running in, literally from doctors to anesthesiologists to nursing. So usually, I would hate to say that that's not the case, but usually it'd be very hard instance where it would just be the nurse alone, because like I said, we're pulling the bell. There's always like backup that we're able to call.
But a pure emergency, something happened, like September 11th, so the all hospitals, they were involved taking care of the emergency, just pretending that there's not doctors. Legally, can a nurse take the responsibility and to take a decision at the moment? If you know the question,
I think that's a hard question to answer. If you're talking about maybe just giving the patient like a bolus or something, bolus of fluid, things like that are pretty basic, yes, we can definitely go ahead and start that.
Okay.
The concept that you can basically take home with you is that, the doctors are always able to put in the orders in the computers afterward. So even if it's a, on-call situation, like we didn't expect for this to happen, like you mentioned 9/11, we are able to, perform the intervention and then worry about whether or not the orders have been put in the system. So even if it's a verbal order, the doctor is able to like verbally say, give this patient this medication or so on and so forth.
Good response. Tell me about confidentiality. And I know as a worker, it could be a doctor, a nurse, some people, even people cleaning the floors and maintenance, people, they see the chart and you never know, they start reading. What is this confidentiality in terms of medical facility?
Yeah, so New Jersey and New York and all across the United States, I know that nursing, as well as any medical professional, is to abide by the HIPAA laws. And that is something, confidentiality, there's no bargaining. Even if a family member has a question that's a clinical question, we are not allowed to disclose any information. We've had patients have their moms call on the phone, just trying to check up on them. We're very cautious with that. Because confidentiality, it's basically the patient's trust.
What about if the patient is a minor?
Yeah, so if it's a minor, for example, I work with babies as well. Obviously we're able to give the parents that information, but if we're talking about adults, then there's no sharing any information.
So if the patient is a minor, the parents are, can call the nurse or the doctor if and the doctor could release the information, or you as a nurse?
Yeah, so as long as it's a parent or a guardian, a legal guardian, that's...
A legal one.
Legal guardian, correct. Then of course we can, if they're in the care of this patient, or of this parent legally, then yes, we can.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Emma, tell me, and this is hard to probably to answer. Tell me the most terrifying scenario that you have experienced as a nurse so far.
That's a tricky question. Being in this scenario or this situation, the setting that I'm in, emergencies happen all the time. I work in labor and delivery doing triage sometimes, and we've had patients come in who are like fully dilated. Let's say the labor rooms are all full. There's nowhere to basically place them for the moment being, and they end up delivering in triage. We've also had them deliver in the hallway because they just can't make it. So there's situations like that, and then there's situations like in postpartum where, let's say someone's hemorrhaging or they're preeclamptic and they're having severe range blood pressures. There's a lot of different emergencies that can occur, but I think the most important thing is just having the right team there that you can call, like I mentioned earlier, for backup. because once somebody starts to decompensate, things happen very quickly.
Have you been in a scenario where the doctor has an emergency and you are the nurse in there or group of nurse? Who's taking care of the patient at that moment? If you can answer that.
Yeah, so if, let's say there's no doctors or attendings around, we usually work with physician assistants as well as like nurse practitioners who will be very good at, following the certain guideline for whatever situation it is. And of course, we all work as a team and, we do our best to the best of our ability.
And that's the most important, work as a team.
Oh, yeah. It makes all the difference.
Thank you. That's good. Emma, tell me this, and this is a complaint that I have had it before. At nighttime, okay, a lot of patients and family complain that they just push the button calling the nurse or the nurses station because they need something. For the patients, long time waiting. According to them, the nurses never show up on time. What's going on with that?
Yes, that's a great question, and it's something that we hear as nurses all the time. It affects our HCAP scores very significantly, which is just like a rating score for each specific unit. That's always a prominent issue, and something that nurses are continuously having to work on. I will say that staffing has, I think, historically been an issue with the nursing career in general. So usually if we're taking a little bit longer to answer those call bells, it's due to like a staffing issue, most likely. And if a unit is well staffed, then we're more quick to answer those call bells. Or if it is like an emergency, of course, we're going to be in there right away. But if someone's calling for water or just, things like that, TV help or like electronic help, I need to charge my phone, things like that, we are sort of putting it on the back of the list.
How the nurses know if the patient just needed water or the phone? There's different type of button that you can press?
Yeah, so in my specific unit, we'll have the clerk who will answer, and she'll ask like, hey, is there anything the nurse can bring you or anything specific that you may need help with? So in that sense, we'll be able to kind of get an idea. If not, usually I know like the older kind of hospitals, they do have specific buttons. So if it's for medications, they'll have that button.
So it's not what people believe that I call the nurse and they just tired of me calling.
No.
And the nurses are watching TV, playing with
No.
games, and no, it's nothing like that.
Absolutely not. I will tell you that if there's any time that my patients have been waiting, more than a few minutes, it's because I'm either with a different patient in a different room.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any nurse that
And
would just be on
emergencies
their
arises
phone.
all the time too.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not a willing decision for us to just kind of lay back and we'll just let them wait. Like, if we can, we will most definitely be there as soon as we can.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Do you believe hospitals or clinics need more nurses to assist the patients better?
Yes, the short answer to that is yes. I think that nurses are a vital part of the medical system, the medical unit, just as well as like the providers and the assistants. Nurses and nursing assistants, I think, are key, especially to patient satisfaction. Going back to those HCAP scores that I mentioned about previously, it's a big reflection on whether or not our unit is scored.
So because of that, would you recommend the young generation to get into that career?
I will most definitely 100% recommend to anyone that isn't squeamish with blood and things like that. If you're able to like handle those kind of gory things and it's something that genuinely interests you and just helping people, I think it's a great career path just because there is so much growth that you can do. And there's so many like smaller, if you wanted to change specialties, you're able to do it. If you want to just kind of work your way up and get a master's and maybe become a nurse practitioner and work on it independently, you can also do that. So there's just so many routes that you can take.
Good. Emma, tell me this. What are the characteristics of a great nurse, a great professional?
Okay, this is probably my favorite question. The very, very short and simple answer to that is honesty. If you're a nurse, the bare minimum that you should be is an honest person, simply because of the fact that we are dealing with people's lives. And we all know there's a great book, I forget who the author is, but it's called To Err is Human. So basically, we all make mistakes. The important thing is that we're able to own up to them and, vocalize our mistakes and let the people, providers know, whoever is going to be held responsible for whatever event may happen because of our mistakes, we are supposed to let them know. And that way, the next nurse will hopefully not make the same mistakes, and we can prevent an adverse reaction or an adverse outcome because of our mistakes.
Very good answer. Do you consider yourself a good nurse?
I do, and only because I may not know everything. There's always so much to learn, so much room for growth, but I do consider myself a good nurse because I do consider myself an honest person and a person who's willing and has the desire to continue to grow and to continue to get better. So I think I like to think of myself.
Where do you see in the next 10 years yourself?
In the next 10 years, I definitely see myself. A lot of nurses kind of are running away from the bedside. I still see myself at the bedside for the next at least 10 years. Just because, like I just mentioned, there's so much growth, there's so much room to improve in my craft and just like medically and the knowledge and all of that. So I see myself at the bedside, but I do see myself eventually pursuing like an advanced career, an advanced degree in nursing.
So you work in the morning shift or at nighttime?
I'm still on nights, so my scheduling right now is from 7:30 p.m. to 8 in the morning.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking you, because this program is about, about information, things like that. In some career professions, because the time of working, the shift that you work at nighttime is a conflict with the family. Do you believe you have that conflict working at nighttime?
It's definitely a little bit of a challenge, only because, obviously if I'm working overnight, then the day that I'm, at home during the day, I'm sleeping because I'm exhausted from the night. So there is a little bit of playing catch up, especially for the night shift. But the good thing is, we get to kind of, the camaraderie on nights I think is a lot better than days. Management is not there, so we're able to really kind of lay back and just take it more easy.
So
than
in
on
your
the
case,
days.
Your husband take care of the baby, yeah?
Yes.
And
So
that's what
yes.
and that's good to know because
And my mother too.
Oh, that's good.
Very important.
Oh,
my mom is.
Hey, don't leave your mother.
Oh my gosh, no, I can never.
No, very good. It's because I'm a musician. As a musician, you have to travel to work at nighttime, and sometimes it's a conflict.
Yeah.
But it's a problem.
It's worth it, and
and
there is a night differential, so you do get paid a little bit
okay,
more.
that's important.
Yes.
Emma, anything that you can add to this interview or conversation that maybe we didn't touch or we didn't cover?
If anything, I would just, add that nurses and the nursing career, one, is a great career. I would choose it 1,000 times over if I could. And, if your dream and your desire is to become a nurse, I just want you guys to know that it's such a rewarding career. There's different, benefits from all over, different types of benefits. There's a financial benefit, which is pretty good as well. But just emotionally, you get that satisfaction of saying when you come home, like, okay, I made a difference. I was able to help someone today.
And that's important. That's the humanity side of my career.
Yes.
And, well, this is the Dream City, Union City, New Jersey, as I said before. Very special guest, Emma Peña, a young nurse and with a large and good future. I heard you have a great future, okay? So I hope you can watch our program every Sunday at 7 p.m., Union City, New Jersey, the Dream City. My name is Kennedy Ng.